you're obviously going to create fantastic numbers of refugees and dispossessed people. Are they going to head down into Africa, which is also being torn asunder, not least economically, by the same hidden hand? No, no. They're going to try to head north into Europe, looking for safety and some kind of economic opportunity. We're back to the dominoes. Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, Syria, migration crisis. And if you don't connect the dots to see how they fit together, you'll never get a picture of what's really happening. And isn't it extraordinary? Well, it's extraordinary to me. On one level, it's extraordinary coming from the point of view of journalism, but coming from the point of view of the way the media works, it's not extraordinary at all. I'm yet to hear anyone question Cameron about the cause and effect of his support and desire for more now bombing of Syria. Question his support and advocacy for bombing in the Middle East, with the effect of the migrant crisis. And the idea is that with this great influx of migrants comes conflict, comes upheaval, and then there's the next bonus for the hidden hand as it ticks off its wish list. And that's justifying the imposition of a fiercer and fiercer police state to deal with the upheaval and violence. And I can hear it already. Well, you see, all these migrants have come in, and some of them are from ISIS, and therefore they're in our midst. So we've got to have all this surveillance and control, and because we got to protect you. Predictable is possible to be predictable. And you remember, if you live in Britain anyway, in 2009, story broke, which here's one version of it. Labour, this is the Tony Blair Labour Party, see David Cameron Conservative Party, different masks on the same hidden face. Labour wanted mass immigration to make UK a different society, basically, to change British society forever. This is according to a former advisor to the party. Labour threw open Britain's borders to mass immigration to help socially engineer a truly multicultural society, former government advisor reveals. The huge increases in migrants over the last decade were partly due to a politically motivated attempt by ministers to radically change the country, according to Andrew Nether, a former advisor to Tony Blair and two of his ministers, Jack Straw and David Blunkett. Blair and Straw were bosom buddies in the lies that were justifying the invasion of Iraq, weapons of mass destruction and all that. The advisor said Labour's relaxation of controls on immigration was a deliberate plan to open up the UK to mass immigration, but that ministers were nervous and reluctant to discuss such a move publicly for fear it would alienate its core working class vote. This is the hidden hand at work via these puppet politicians, some of which know what's going on, or a lot of it, like Blair, some of which don't. But do it because that's the politically expedient thing for them at the time. So you have a situation where this advisor is saying that the gates were opened to massive immigration into Britain, not to help the immigrants, again, they couldn't give a damn about them, but to change British society irreversibly. As a result, the public argument for immigration concentrated instead on the economic benefits and the need for more migrants. We had this all the time. Oh, well, the economy needs migrants to fill the jobs that British people don't want to do. All freaking lies, basically. There'd be some truth in that, but it was a cover story overwhelmingly to cover the fact that it was being done to change British society. And what we're seeing now with the mass immigration of these tragic people from these war-torn countries, thanks to the West, Britain and America especially, is that that is being advanced on a European-wide scale, not least at the moment in Germany. So Mr. Nether, speechwriter who worked for Blair, has pointed out that this was all done systematically. And the article says, critics said the revelations showed a conspiracy. Ooh, can't use that word, you're a conspiracy theorist. Critics said the revelations showed a conspiracy within government to impose mass immigration for cynical political reasons. And that is what is happening on a European-wide scale. And it's also happening in places like the United States. That is not to attack the migrants and the immigrants, although like everywhere else in the world, there'll be some deeply unpleasant people among them. But vast numbers of those people will be in desperate straits and in need of help because of a situation that the West has systematically created. And it was a deliberate policy, he said, from late 2000 to open up the UK to mass migration. Some 2.3 million migrants have been added to the population since then, according to Whitehall estimates. Quietly slipped out, of course, last month. So Andrew Green, chairman of Migration Watch think tank, said, now at least the truth is out and it's dynamite. Many have long suspected that mass immigration under Labour was not just a cock-up, but also a conspiracy. They were right. Now remember, this article was from 2009. And he says under Labour, but of course it doesn't matter what party you're dealing with because they're following the same agenda. So if we're going to understand what this whole thing is about and how it fits in, and we've got to connect some dots, and you have to look into this hidden web of secret societies and semi-secret groups. Actually, secret group at one time, the Bilderberg group, but because of alternative researchers, they've been pulled into the role now of a semi-secret group. We know of their existence, but we don't know what they are deciding in detail, except that which is leaked. And the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations, these groupings that are think tanks that orchestrate the policy decided deep in the shadows, orchestrate its implementation in the world of the scene, the public arena. And when I was talking last week about international Zionism, I was talking about an organization called the Round Table, a secret society started in the late 19th century, headed first of all by the Rothschilds frontman Cecil Rhodes, and it was the Round Table that created these groups like the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations, and the Bilderberg Group. What they are doing is putting into positions of power to implement this hidden agenda those that represent this network, which brings me to the extraordinary coincidence. When you research this stuff, coincidences are, you know, to a penny.